Hey, I'm Decathlon Gamer, and this is The Road to the Record, where I work to attain mastery of 10 games in a hunt for the best score of the Decathlon. If you like what you see, remember to hit that like button. You want to see more? Hit subscribe. Let the games begin. This is Draft Day Sports College Basketball 2019. We're in episode number 49 of the series, and we are on the road at the number one team in the nation, currently leading 6-0, so we got a good start to this game. But I have very low expectations for this one. There are a handful of super elite teams, and North Carolina is the best of those this season. They're number one in the nation, they're number one in the conference. And yes, we are playing in Conference A, and after a really good start to the season, well, we've got challenges ahead. At 14-4, 3-2 in conference, things are going to get tough, and you could already see. After a wonderful start to the game, we're now struggling at 2 points behind the Tar Heels. Rebounding, we have an 8 rebound deficit right now, while turnovers are level. Neither team is shooting terribly well, but the Tar Heels are 12 for 12 from the free throw line. That's half their points. We have 10 fouls in this game already through the first 10 minutes. They have 4, which is not a small total either. But this is absurd, the amount of fouls we have, as Morrison, Porter, Kirkland, and Matt Gordon all on 2 fouls. Kennedy, Barnes, Melson, Smith all have a foul. We're going down to the very, very bottom depths of our roster here because of the refs. By the way, that 10 fouls number has been exceeded a long time ago. It doesn't count up above 10. They continue to have more free throws. They've had 20 attempts already. There's 22. Every time down the flipping court, we are getting called for a foul. We use our full timeout here as we trail by 20, and things are completely out of hand. I've gone way down the depth chart as Morrison, Melson, Kirkland all on 3 fouls. They literally came back into the game because they had no choice because of where we were at in the foul situation. That is 9, 10, 11, 13, 14, 15, 17 fouls in this half. (56-29), we trail at the half. 24 of those points. 24 of those points came from the free throw line. I don't even want to see the rest at this point. This is absurd. Rebounding, they're plus 15. Turnovers, they are plus 3. We're shooting 30%. They're shooting 53%. Hey, look at that. We got a free throw attempt. Woo-hoo-hoo! Good start to the half here, at least. But we trail big. It's not helping that despite the fact that they've had almost twice as many free throws as we've had, we've missed more than twice as many free throws as they've missed in this game. So not only are they getting charity whistle after charity whistle after charity whistle, they're going to the charity stripe and capitalizing with only 2 misses in the entire game. 92% from the field. That is better than Steve Nash's record, by the way. I think he was like a 91.9% career or something along those lines. Career free throw shooter. Best all time. Deficit's down to 20, so we are definitely about to come back and win this game, or not. Anyway, So Paul Arnold for them, 16 points, 10 boards with a double-double. Robinson's got 15 points. Gruber's got 13. It's all down in the post. Escherich has 12 points to go with it. Currently on the bench on 4 fouls. I believe that's a starter. Kirkland, the only one for us in double digits with 12 points. Cougars got 7 rebounds today, so that's good. But the foul, and only 1 foul, by the way, so it's actually really big. Foul trouble looking much better here in the second half. Melson has 4. Other than that, we have nothing worse than 3 fouls out there. So we've really calmed down in the second half. 18 minutes played, just 3 fouls committed. But the lead did stretch back out here of late. I'm going to go, or not, use my 30-second timeout and try to do something here in the final minute. And final score, 89-63. It was ugly. We lost in every single aspect of the game other than that we picked up 1 point in the second half. But that deficit was entirely created around those fouls. Nothing more, nothing less. We are done recruiting for the season. Jim Ross, ranked number 37 in the nation, has already signed his letter of intent. He is a center, and that is it. That's all we've got coming in this season. Remember, we just had a huge turnover. Lots of young players on the roster. So for a rebuilding year, no surprise that we're losing to the number 1 team in the nation, even if they are a conference foe, and every conference foe is now somebody we need to be able to play against. 3-3 is definitely not a bad record at this point. And somehow North Carolina drops to second in the rankings after that game. All right, so Michigan State, Cincinnati, both coming up. Let's start with Cincinnati, and we've got almost 50-50 chance in that game. Michigan State also right there, so both of those games coming up. In addition, the next 2 games, Louisville is looking like one of the more elite sides, number 16 in the nation. We are 17 in the nation, so we're only 1 spot behind them in the rankings, but they do have a clear advantage on paper. At least Iowa looks like a winnable game. So 2-2 through the next 4 games would probably be good, especially when the main purpose of this season is to avoid relegation. It's going to take 7 or 8 wins to be sure that that's not going to happen. So 2-2 would put us at 5-5, and that would put us in a fairly decent position to hopefully stay alive. But let's go ahead and one day at a time, but sim through these and see how things are moving along with our first year in Conference A. I'm very excited to be here, Conference A. It's tough. At 14-5, I'm struggling a little bit, but now that I'm in Conference A, the prestige of the conference is starting to show through, and I would think on paper it should raise our prestige, considering we have a middle-of-the-road prestige. Middle of the road in the best conference should be enough to boost you up. However, I don't think that's how the game works. I think it's based more on tournaments. So at this point, we would almost benefit from not making the NCAA tournament, going to, like, say, the NIT, and having some success, maybe winning an NIT tournament. That would be a big boost to our prestige, even though it's not the top-tier tournament. So what should be an even matchup on paper is most definitely not. We are 1 game better in terms of record, but of course they have that higher prestige that we were just talking about, and therefore they are ranked higher than we are. And on paper, we're not that great of a team anyway. We've just outperformed expectations. Speaking of outperforming expectations, we just beat Louisville by 25 points. Now, it was a home game, mind you, and that makes such a difference. But you can see we never trailed. We led the entire game. We led by as much as 31 at some point during the second half. And we dominated every part of the game. Nigel Porter, 18 points, player of the game. And looking on down, let's see. Nelson, 4 for 5 shooting. Good job by him, 12 points. Kirkland was 5 for 8. Cougar had 12 rebounds and 9 points, nearly a double-double. Porter, I don't know if I'd put him as player of the game, but I guess he was 4 for 8 beyond the arc, and that certainly helped. But Derek Webb off the bench, he was solid. 4 for 5 overall, 2 for 3 beyond the arc, 4 for 4 from the line, 14 points. Second highest scorer in the game, or at least for us anyway. And on the rebounding front, it's pretty much all Cougar. We shot right about 50% overall and beyond the arc. Free throw shooting was much better than it's been. Rebounding, slight advantage, +4 there. Surprisingly, a small number of offensive rebounds in the game. Assists, 19-14. Fouls, there's a big one, as we seem to, it was a -2. Not too bad. But we committed way more steals, and we committed far fewer turnovers overall, so big difference there. Blocks were level, and that seems to be one of the key areas all season long, has been our defense. On paper, we don't look like that great of a team. But when you play good defense, you play good defense. And you're going to be difficult to beat. Unless you're playing North Carolina, or Nevada, or Florida, or Duke. Those 4 anyway. I think a 75% win percentage is fantastic for this point in the season. 4-3 record in conference is fantastic for this point in the season. So a lot of things going our way. We'll see what we can keep up. Iowa, of those 4 games that we were talking about, this is that one best chance that we actually have. They're only 10-9, and they are unranked, which is such a rarity here in the conference. Oregon's unranked, Michigan is unranked, Iowa is unranked, Stanford is unranked, Georgia Tech is unranked. Everybody else, not only in the rankings, but ranked higher than my team. Oklahoma State, 24. Other than them, everybody else, they're all top 10s, besides Louisville. So, yowzer. A lot of big matchups, and that's the thing. That's why I love this playthrough, because Conference A is just so brutal. And finally, we are here. Will we come away with a win on this one? Certainly hope so. Iowa is one of the more beatable teams, but there is no easy games in Conference A. That hope for 2-2 off to a tremendous start, as we've gotten 2 from 2. Kirkland, player of the game, 10-point victory, points of the paint massively favoring us. A lot of guys in double digits. A little bit of foul trouble, Kirkland especially. Porter, 5 for 6 shooting. So that should be a nice little boost there. 16-5 now. At the rate we're going, we may still see the tournament yet.
You have new mail.
And every day, every win, our chance of relegation drops considerably.
have new mail. You have new mail.
That's a lot of mail. What's going on here? There's so much excitement in the air. What is it? Okay, Duke coming up there, 18-3, number 4, and huge advantage. Like I said, there's still that upper tier that we are just not even hitting on. Michigan, just 8-11. They are 8-11. 1-7 in conference. And on paper, they are absolutely prepared to destroy us. Yeah, we have an advantage. 4 out of 5 positions. Is McKee the number 1 player in the nation? Well, they're scoring 23 points a game. Is that one player enough to make it happen, though? They're getting almost 11 rebounds a game as well. But you look at the team stats. They're shooting well from the free throw line, and that's a problem for us. Beyond that, it looks like we should win. At least in the team game. Top 30 Norton candidates announced. Bobby Walton of Notre Dame is the top favorite. And squeezing his way into the list. And I don't think he was there previously. But Jonas Cougar has made his way onto the list. So there you go. There's that double mail that I was going on. What's going on? And that is what it is. Next up, Michigan State, road game, number 9 team in the nation. This one is something that it said we have a near 50% chance at, but this looks like a difficult game on paper. Top 10 team in the nation on the road. 50-50 or not, I would not be surprised whatsoever if we walk away with a 10-point loss. This would be massive, though, if we do pull off the victory in terms of what that would do. Crap. So we lose, and that doesn't surprise me. It's on the road. But the nature of the loss could hurt a lot more than the loss itself. I already stated that 2-2 would be good for this 4-game stretch. There's something very wrong with this picture if you haven't seen it already. Tie at the half, drop in the second half, points in the paint went their way, fast break went their way. We had a much better lead than they did. In fact, the bulk, they won by 7. Their largest lead was 8. So we controlled the game till pretty late. McKee, 11 points, 13 rebounds. Porter 6 for 12. Kirkland, Morrison, Nelson. Bunch of guys in double digits. We got a double-double from Kirkland. 5 fouls again. But he threw in 6 steals. 4 blocks. Heck of a day, but 4 turnovers. And 0 offensive rebounds, which we certainly could have used in this game. There's the big news, and what is it? What is it? Oh, Morrison. That hurts a freaking ton. Alright, so here's the standings as of now. It is Stanford and Michigan and Iowa at the bottom. Clear deficit to everyone else. Georgia Tech, Louisville also at 3-6, and that's the cut right now. Meaning, at best, 10-6 is what could possibly happen with 7 to play. They're not going to win 7 straight. So I know that number is going to get better and better. But that's what we're looking at right now as the guarantee we're safe. But with records like that, with 5 teams that are at 3-6 or worse, you gotta figure at best you might get 1 or 2 of those teams to go 500 the rest of the way. So 6 or 7 wins, and that's looking good for us, as we have 5 already. We are in the middle of the standings right now at 5-4. North Carolina, by the way, are 5-4. Florida's 9-0. Nevada's 8-1. Syracuse is 7-2. Duke is 6-3, as is Oklahoma State. Surprising, very surprising. Maryland, Cincinnati are below us. Oregon below us, while probably being better. Louisville's definitely underperforming. I think a couple more games will paint the picture. If we can get even just 1 win in the next, say, 3, I think that 6-6 would really set us up for being just about safe at that point. Just about. We'd have 4 games left to play. We would almost certainly need 1 more win in there. But this really could be a difficult stretch. I mean, if Morrison is out, or if it's strained, if he's out completely or playing very limited minutes, this next week and a half, I don't know, we could go 0-3 through here and drop to 5-7 just like that. We've got Cincinnati up next, and again without our starting point guard. I'm pretty dang nervous about this. It's a home game. I'd give them the edge. I mean, even I, at this point, have underestimated this team so far this season. But without Morrison, I'm worried. Barely shouldn't have been. It was a close game, though. It was very much a close game. 75-70. We do take the victory in a back-and-forth game. Points in the paint. That's where we got it done. Kirkland, big day. 18 points, 8 rebounds, 5 steals for him. I don't know if he's intercepting those or if he's just picking the pocket of the opposing center when they try to put their head down and bang away in the post. Let's see. Cougar, 9 rebounds. Kirkland, of course, had 8. Nelson only had 2 field goal attempts and didn't make either one of them, and didn't get any points from the free throw line either. Kind of a strange affair for him. But Porter, Cougar both had 11 points. Kennedy had 9 points off the bench. He had a pretty solid day. Everybody who played had at least 1 rebound. That's nice to see. Webb had 5 assists coming off the bench. He did have 5 turnovers, though, but he managed 7 points. It's not too bad of a performance. I think kind of the one downside is he was 1 for 5 beyond the arc, so that didn't do him much good, especially when you throw in the 5 turnovers that he had, and didn't manage to force any the other way. No blocks, no steals. But we survived, despite that. Now, Michigan should be a very winnable game, as they have struggled so much, but we are going to be on the road, and we are still without Morrison. So even though they are just 8-13, I'd probably put us at less than 50% chance of winning this game. How are we on the road now that we're this far in? We are 6-4 on the road, okay, but that is only slightly above 500, and most of that was the non-conference portion of the schedule. Now, Michigan is now down to last in the league, 1-9, but they are 8-6 at home. So we have similar records. They are winless on the road. But similar records still, I think that would be advantage home team. we seem to always play a little bit over what we should be on paper. Did a lot of wins that on paper we shouldn't get. But I think a lot of that is at home. We played really well at home. And Michigan's still a decent team on paper, so.
You have new mail.
And we're still missing Morrison. A week to go till he's back. Excuse me. Oklahoma State, we've got an advantage over them, surprisingly. Syracuse, one of those elite teams. So you put them in with North Carolina, Duke, Florida, Nevada. There's at least 5 of them. So right now we're holding on to the 16th rank in the nation. And for once it finally feels about right. Because we're a good Conference A team with a good record. But we're definitely not one of those elite teams. And unlike in some previous seasons where we were just a couple conferences down from the top and had outstanding records and couldn't hardly crack the top 25, now that we're in Conference A, it makes perfect sense that we're getting more recognition in the standings. Speaking of stats right now, it's Kirkland at 15 points a game as our leader. Morrison, 5.5 assists a game. Cougars, 7 rebounds a game. Kirkland, top dog on defense with 2.2 blocks, 1.8 steals per game. So combined between those, he is getting 4 a game. Major defensive stops. Points per game, we are number 21 in the nation, nearly 80 points. We're almost at 20 assists per game, which is top of the nation. Rebounds, 44th. Blocks, 9th. Steals, actually not that great of a number. Turnovers, though, is pretty good. 12.8, 29th. And then opponents, defensively, we're 74th, and that's good. Assists, yeah, we're giving up a bit too much. Rebounds, wow. That is a difference of 1 rebound a game. And do you see how big the gap is in the standings? Apparently it's pretty close throughout the league. Blocks, 7 a game. A little confused by that number because 7 and 7.6, there's not that big of a gap there. Are you telling me everybody gets 7 blocks a game, regardless of the team? It doesn't feel right. And we're 46th in turnovers. Let's continue on here. Enough staring and analyzing something that I don't fully understand how or why. And I'm always going back and forth on what some of those ranking numbers mean, which one they're referring to, whether they're referring to the offense or the defense, what we give up versus what we take, and so on. We did get the win, actually, by the way. Let me go back to that for a moment. So we pick up a road win, one that I did not expect, 66-60. It was definitely a tight contest. It came on the heels of a strong first half and a strong points in the paint presence. Porter had 15. Kennedy had 12 off the bench. Nelson fouled out. Colin McKee, who we've been looking at, putting up huge numbers. He was 3 for 6 inside the arc, 3 for 14 beyond the arc. He got 16 free throw attempts. So Colin McKee is James Harden, except with rebounds because he got 15 of them. Wow, he had 6 blocks too. That is a tremendous player who played all 40 minutes of the game. Got 4 fouls, but did not foul out. Now, next up, we're on the road at Duke. Not a chance. We're not going to win that game. But we're 7 wins now. 7-4 in conference. That is crazy, by the way. I can't guarantee that we are safe yet, but it's looking pretty good. Pretty good. Goodbye us in this game, though. We're going to drop to 7-5. We're not beating Duke on the road. Massive mismatch. I mean, this will be like the North Carolina game. Lose by 20 or 30. It might be good against really good teams. But we're not good against the really great teams. Just that top tier. That's where we keep missing out. We do lose the game. We do drop to 7-5. Wow, that was close. Morrison, oh my goodness. Okay, Morrison played 28 minutes, but he struggled. He fouled out. He had 5 turnovers. He was only 1 for 5. So we got him back, and he did enough to help us keep a close game running the offense. But it was not his day at all. And Webb, right, he struggled and would have struggled in his place, and it probably would have been a lot worse if Morrison wasn't back trying to play through the injury. Porter had 19. That was good. Kennedy had 10 off the bench. That was great. Finley was player of the game. Big performance for him. So that actually came super close. We led by as much as 2. They led by as much as 11. But look at all those lead changes and times that we were tied. That was a heck of a game. We just came out on the losing end. So, 7-5. Final stretch. 4 games left in conference. Florida's still undefeated. Nevada's still just the 1 loss. Duke, I think they dropped another one in there somewhere. They only had 2 losses previously. Syracuse now at 4, but there we are, 7-5, near the top of the conference, looking pretty dang good at this point. Now, 7-5 means at worst we still have 4 games to play-ish. Yeah, 7-9 is the worst that we can do. So, we're guaranteed to have avoided the bottom 3. The 4 teams are relegated. So, Louisville, Georgia Tech, still in contention for the drop. Of course, Maryland and Oregon are still very much only 1 game ahead of them. The 6-6 teams are only plus 2 games with 4 to play, so they're not safe. But I'm plus 3 games with 4 to play. So we don't have to do much from here. But next up is Syracuse, and that's one of the elite teams. They are 4th, we are 5th, but they're one of the elite teams. And even though we're at home, I don't know if Morrison's going to be back to full strength just yet. Might be like the last day on the injury. I wouldn't put too much faith into this game. Like glass half full on this game. Clearly a better team than us, but we are in form and we are at home.
You have new mail.
But they're clearly a better team than us. We'll bring it to them. I just don't know what we can do. Okay, semifinalists announced, and no, we did not crack the top 30. Walton's still on top. We got Oregon and Nevada coming up. 1 winnable game, 1 not so winnable game. We are actually the favorite over Oregon, and we're on the road. And, of course, Nevada. Yeah. So even just 1 win the rest of the way should secure what we need. and would actually make for a solid 8-8 performance. It would give us 19 wins on the season. It might be enough to make the tournament. Might be. And we could do that with just one more win. If we could somehow snatch 2 wins the rest of the way, well, of course we're guaranteed. Really at this point, I think one win we'll be safe. Even if we lose all 4, we may be safe. Kind of the one downside in that is if we lose to Oregon, there's a good chance they would be bumping above us, as they are just behind in the standings. That could be our key game, and that sucks for me on a personal level, just as I am a Duck. Hard to take on my own team. But Morrison is finally back to full health. Oh, we got it. We got our win. 76-60 over Syracuse. Can we crack the Final Four, or at least the Elite 8 this year in the tournament? I mean, we're already playing the best teams, and we're 8-5 against the best teams. Sure, there's a couple teams at the bottom of the conference versus a couple teams in other conferences, right? It's not the best 12 teams right now, anyway. But it is very much Conference A, and it's very much the best 8 to 10 teams in the nation right now. Probably more like 8. We beat ourselves up enough, right? There's got to be somebody struggling a little bit. But if we're already playing the best 8 to 10 teams in the nation, do the math on that. Elite 8. So, are we good enough to make the Elite 8? I think it'll depend on our seed, and a 19-win team or a 20-win team at the back end of the teens in the rankings. I don't know how high our seed might be. If it's 4th, we're gonna have to play a 1 seed pretty early on. Cougar 15-15. Big day. Big day for him. Finally, a little optimism. A couple really big victories here over this stretch, too. You think about it. 2 games. 2 victories. What's the difference between that and where we would be otherwise? 6-7. Still worrying about relegation at that point, if we were 6-7. Next up is Oklahoma State. They are ranked. They are 24th, and we are on the road. But on paper, they gave us an advantage, and I'm starting to feel like we're capable of winning more games than we're really given credit for on paper at the beginning of the season. But road is road, and this is not Michigan, who's struggling a lot more than Oklahoma State is this season. Not that Oklahoma State's having a great season, but we're not having a great season. This is just a good season, despite the rebuilding, and that's what makes it feel a lot better than it is. But in reality, we're a 19-8 team, 8-6 in conference. We're just a good team, and we did lose. Not by much, but we still lost. Okay, went back and forth a lot, but we still lost. Okay, 2 to play. Do the math. We should be safe. We are. These guys are 4-10. 6-10 is the best that they could do. So we are not getting relegated. And we will definitely make the conference tournament. But we're going to be kind of in the middle. And look at what we could potentially face. It's crazy, right? Nevada and Florida both 13-1. We've got Nevada coming up here in our very next game. 25-2 on the season. Good luck to us on that one. Because we're going to need it. I almost don't want to win. Because if we do, what happens when we play them in the tournament and they blow us out by 30 points and it's like, couldn't we have done that in the tournament instead of during the regular season where it didn't matter much, where it didn't have a significant impact on anything? Almost there. Almost time. I'm so glad that Morrison's the only significant injury that we've had. And it only ruled him out for a win, and we somehow won those games. Or for a week, I mean. Okay, so here we go. Nevada. 20%. They'll give us a 20% chance. We are at home. And that's not bad. Theoretically, you could play this game 5 times and win one of them. But not that one. That was one of the 4. We did not get blown out, at least. It was 86-69. 14-point halftime deficit. Close second half. We did not get dominated here. We did have a little bit of back and forth, but it was clearly only early in the game. You can see they have their completely dominant player here in Delzell. 9 for 16, 7, 12, 9 for 11, 34 points. Kirkland, another good day, 12 rebounds, 16 points, double-double. Matt Gordon tried to have a really good day off the bench. However, when you look closely, he's 2 for 10. Most of his points came from the free throw line. That's Russell Westbrook kind of numbers. One to play. My alma mater. 16-12. Oregon Ducks. I'd love to win this game. Be nice to get that 20th win. Be nice to have a plus 500 season. You know what? It's also nice to have a 500 season. Period. In Conference A. And what's theoretically a rebuilding year. Where we just turned out to be a bit better than I had predicted. So I'm setting myself up for a loss on this game. It is on the road. And it is a good team that's only a little bit outside of the rankings. They're probably 35-ish, 40, just because of their record, but their quality is still up there. Remember, they were definitely good in non-conference play. They just struggled here in the conference. They had been relegated recently. They just came back up. And in the final game of the regular season, do we get the elusive 20? We could still get it in the tournament. Or do we finish a middle of the road 500 team conference? Middle of the road 500 team. Oregon takes the victory. Close contest. No, not as close. I thought it was 64. It's 54. And we had a halftime lead, but they played a very strong second half at Matt Knight Arena. not a big day, really, from anyone. Kirkland had 13 rebounds, but only managed 4 points. Cougar had 11 and 8, but he had 4 fouls and a couple turnovers. And had shot 5 of 17. Kirkland was 1 for 7. Ooh, gosh, look at that shooting. That is terrible. 31%. Well, there's your explanation. And there's the season in the books. We finish with Nevada on top, 15-1 in conference. Florida 14-2, and then a little bit of a drop to Duke, Syracuse, North Carolina, and Cincinnati. Cream did rise to the top over the course of the season. Oklahoma State at 9-7, and then we come in with a slew of teams at 8-8. And then a massive drop from there. Wow, look at that. So Maryland, Michigan State, Oregon, and us, all 8-8. And then Louisville, Georgia Tech, Stanford, Iowa, and Michigan, the teams that struggled. So 11 teams had a fantastic season. 5 teams, no. So 11 really good teams here in Conference A, for being honest with ourselves. So, and 10 of those 11 ranked. Poor Georgia Tech goes level with Louisville, but Louisville survives. Louisville, much better team than their 4-12 record suggests anyway, so they're just fortunate, but they'll be back. We do make the conference tournament, but only just, and so it's going to be a struggle. 19-10, even if we lose that first game, is that enough to get in the tournament? I think we might need that 20th win. 19's probably going to be enough to get us in, though. We'll see. But that's going to all start with the next episode. That's going to do it for this one. I'm Decathlon Gamer, and remember, I'm aiming for the best of the best. So if you're ready to join me on my journey, hit subscribe, and tune in next time on my Road to the Record. Bye for now.